Let me say something that's going to sound completely backwards. Two incomes don't make you twice as rich, they make you twice as broke. I know, that sounds insane. Like, mathematically, it shouldn't even be possible, right? You've got two people working, two paychecks coming in every month instead of one, more money hitting the bank account. But here's what nobody tells you: most two income households are actually more financially stressed than single income families were 50 years ago. They've got less savings, less flexibility, less breathing room. And the crazy part? They're making way more money than their grandparents ever did. Why does having two incomes leave so many families living paycheck to paycheck? This is about a trap that's so perfectly designed, most people don't even realize they're caught in it until it's too late. And once you see how this trap works, you can't unsee it. My name is Ricky, and I spend way too much time thinking about why American families are going broke despite making more money than ever. If you're someone who feels like you and your partner are both working your butts off but somehow still can't get ahead, you're in the right place. If you're tired of feeling like you're running faster just to stay in place, subscribe, because I break down exactly why that's happening and what to do about it. Give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out, because what I'm about to show you is going to completely change how you think about household income. And honestly, it might piss you off a little bit. But that's good. Being pissed off is the first step to doing something different. Here's what this looks like in real life. You and your partner both have decent jobs. Maybe you're pulling in $70,000 and they're making $60,000. That's $130,000 a year combined. Your parents bought a house and raised 3 kids on way less than that. But somehow, you're living paycheck to paycheck. You've got the 2 car payments because you both need to get to work. Daycare is eating up almost $2,000 a month because both of you are gone all day. The mortgage or rent is higher because you had to move to an area where you could both commute to decent jobs. You're eating out more because nobody has time to cook after working all day. You look at your bank account at the end of the month and there's nothing there. And you think to yourself, where the hell is all this money going? We're both working. We're not buying crazy stuff. We don't take expensive vacations. We're trying to be responsible. But you're exhausted. Both of you are tired all the time. You barely see each other. You definitely don't have energy for the kids when you get home. And the worst part, you can't afford for either one of you to stop working, even for a little bit, even if someone got sick or wanted to switch careers or just needed a break. Because your entire life is built on both incomes. The mortgage is based on 2 incomes, the car payments assume 2 incomes, the childcare bill exists because of both incomes. You're trapped. And here's the thing that really messes with your head. Your grandmother raised 4 kids while your grandfather worked at the factory. They owned their house, they took vacations, they had savings. On one income, one blue-collar income. And you're sitting here with 2 professional salaries wondering why you can't afford to fix the car without putting it on a credit card. Something doesn't add up. And you're right. Something fundamentally changed in how American families manage money. But it's not what you think. Here's what most people believe. 2 incomes mean 2 times the money. More money equals more financial security, more cushion, more options. That's just basic math, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Here's what actually happened over the last 50 years. The economy absorbed that second income faster than families could benefit from it. Think about it like this. In 1970, most families were bidding on houses with 1 income, so house prices were based on what 1 income could afford. Then, women started entering the workforce in huge numbers. And look, that was one of the best things that happened for economic equality and opportunity. I'm not arguing against that at all. But here's what nobody prepared for. When suddenly every family had 2 incomes instead of 1, bidding on the same houses, what do you think happened to prices? They exploded. Housing prices, college tuition, everything families need to buy adjusted upward to match what 2-income households could afford. The economy basically said, oh, you've got more money now? Cool. Everything costs more. So families ended up needing 2 incomes to afford what 1 income used to buy. But they've also added massive new expenses that didn't exist when there was 1 stay-at-home parent. Childcare, that second car and all its costs. Commuting expenses, work clothes, eating out because nobody has time to cook, paying people to do stuff you used to have time to do yourself. You've got more money coming in, but you've got way more going out.
and the math doesn't work in your favor anymore. This is the two-income trap. And once you're in it, it's incredibly hard to get out because you can't just drop back to one income. Your mortgage is based on two incomes. Your lifestyle is based on two incomes. Everything is based on both of you working. The system captured that second income before families could turn it into actual wealth. So let me break down exactly how this trap works with real numbers. Let's go back to 1975 for a second. Average family, one income. The husband is making the equivalent of $54,000 a year in today's money. The wife stays home with the kids. Here's how their money breaks down. Their mortgage payment is about 25% of that income, around $1,300 a month on housing. One car payment, maybe $250 a month. No daycare costs because mom's home with the kids. Limited work expenses, one commute, one professional wardrobe, lunches packed at home. Food costs are lower because someone has time to cook from scratch, meal planning, shopping sales. At the end of the month, this family is putting away about 11% of their income in savings. And here's the critical part. They have flexibility. If dad loses his job, mom can potentially enter the workforce temporarily. There's a reserve tank. If one of the kids gets sick and needs a parent home for a few months, they can afford it. They have options. Now let's look at the modern two-income family. Both parents working, combined income of $107,000. That's almost double the single-income family. They should be crushing it, right? Here's what actually happens. Their mortgage is 32% of their income, about $2,850 a month. They had to buy in a better school district because nobody's home to supplement. Two car payments, $900 a month combined. Daycare for two kids, $2,000 a month. Commuting costs for two people, gas, tolls, parking, maintenance, maybe $500 a month. Work expenses, food costs, after-school programs, house cleaning because nobody has time, it all adds up fast. Let me just put that side by side for you real quick. By the time you total everything, this family is saving about 3.6% of their income. They're making twice as much money and saving a third of what single-income families used to save. That's insane. But here's what really gets me. It's not just about the money going out. It's about what happens when something goes wrong. The single-income family had flexibility. The two-income family has none. If either parent loses their job, they're screwed immediately. They can't make the mortgage on one income. If a kid gets sick and needs a parent home for a few months, they can't afford it. They're locked in. Both people have to keep working or everything falls apart. That's not financial security. That's financial fragility disguised as prosperity.
Now, here's where this gets even more messed up. This isn't just about lifestyle inflation or people being stupid with money. The trap is structural. It's baked into how our entire economy works now. When most families went from one income to two incomes, three major things changed in how prices work. First, housing prices. Mortgage lenders base your buying power on household income. When household incomes doubled, lenders started approving people for bigger mortgages, and sellers figured out pretty quick that families could afford more. According to research from Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies, the median home price went from around 2.7 times annual income in the 1970s to almost 4 times annual income by the 2000s. Same house, way more expensive relative to what one person earns. Second, college tuition. When families had more income, colleges realized they could charge more. Students could take out bigger loans because their families had higher household incomes to back them up. The average cost of college increased by something like 213% beyond inflation between 1980 and 2019. Third, childcare. The cost that exists specifically because both parents are working has exploded in price. Childcare now costs more than in-state college tuition in 33 states. You're paying college-level prices so you can go to work to afford the childcare. Think about that for a second. And here's what makes it almost impossible to escape. Once you buy the house based on two incomes, you're stuck. You can't move to a cheaper area because you'd lose one or both jobs. You can't downsize easily because selling a house is expensive, and where would you go? You can't drop to one income because you couldn't make the mortgage payment.
Every decision you made assuming two incomes stays locked in place. And over time, you make more decisions based on that assumption. The private school, the newer cars because you can't afford breakdowns, the convenience expenses because nobody has time. Each one makes sense individually, but collectively they lock you deeper into needing both incomes. 15 years into this, you're making great money on paper, and you're more financially trapped than your grandparents ever were on a fraction of the income. This is why people making six figures still feel broke. Take a breath for a second. I know that was a lot of numbers and economics, but here's where it gets personal. Let me show you what this looks like with real people. I talked to a couple last year, both mid-30s. He's an accountant making $85,000. She's a project manager making $72,000. That's $157,000 a year. They live in a decent suburb, 3-bedroom house, 2 kids in elementary school. They're drowning. Their mortgage is $3,400 a month because they bought in a good school district. 2 car payments total about $800 because they both need reliable cars for their commutes. Childcare and after-school programs run them $2,300 a month. By the time you add in their student loans, insurance, groceries, utilities, gas, they've got maybe $600 left at the end of an average month. No emergency fund, nothing going to retirement beyond his employer match. She told me she fantasizes about quitting her job, but if she did, they'd lose the house within 3 months. They can't even afford for her to go part-time. Compare that to her parents. Her dad worked in sales, made about $60,000 in today's dollars. Her mom stayed home with 3 kids. They owned a similar house in a similar neighborhood, took vacations, had savings, put all 3 kids through college with minimal loans. This couple is making more than double what her parents made, and they're one emergency away from financial disaster. Or look at it from another angle. I know a woman who decided to stay home after her second kid. She was making $54,000 as a teacher. She and her husband sat down and did the math. After taxes, she was bringing home about $40,000. Daycare for 2 kids was $26,000 a year. Gas and car maintenance for her commute was about $4,000 a year. Work clothes, classroom supplies she bought herself, grabbing lunch out, all the little stuff added up to maybe $3,000. She was netting $7,000 a year. For working 50 hours a week when you count grading and planning, that's $260 an hour. They decided it wasn't worth it. She quit, they moved to a smaller house, dropped down to 1 car, and you know what happened? They started saving more money than when she was working, because suddenly there was time to cook every meal, time to pack lunches, time to shop sales and meal plan, time to do basic home and car maintenance instead of paying someone. Their quality of life went up while their expenses went down. But here's the thing. They could only do that because they made the choice before they bought the expensive house, before they locked themselves into a lifestyle that required both incomes. Most people don't have that option anymore. They're already in the trap. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is depressing, but what's the actual solution here? Are you saying women shouldn't work? Are you saying we should go back to the 50s? No, that's not the point at all. In fact, women working is one of the best things that happened for economic equality and opportunity. The problem isn't that women entered the workforce. The problem is the economy rigged itself to capture that benefit instead of letting families keep it. We've built an economy where families need 2 incomes to afford what 1 income used to buy. But we haven't built any of the support systems that would make 2-income families actually work. We don't have affordable childcare. We don't have paid family leave. We don't have flexible work arrangements that let parents actually be parents. We don't have affordable health care that isn't tied to employment. So families are stuck in this impossible situation. You need 2 incomes to survive, but having 2 incomes creates massive expenses that eat up that second income. And you've got no flexibility if anything goes wrong. Here's what most people don't realize. This isn't sustainable. We're watching the middle class collapse in real time because of this trap. According to research by bankruptcy expert Elizabeth Warren, Two-income families are actually more likely to go bankrupt than single-income families were a generation ago. More money, higher bankruptcy rates. That shouldn't be possible. But it is because of how fragile the two-income model is. Single-income families had a reserve. If dad lost his job, mom could go to work temporarily. Two-income families have no reserve. If either person loses their job, the whole thing collapses immediately. They're over-leveraged and over-committed based on having both incomes. And here's the really messed up part. The economy is designed to keep you in this trap. Mortgage lenders want you to borrow based on two incomes. It means bigger loans and more interest. Real estate agents want you to buy the most expensive house you can technically afford. Car dealers want two car payments from every household. Everyone selling you something benefits from you being trapped in the two-income model. Nobody's incentivized to tell you the truth, that you might be better off making less money but having more flexibility, that you might be better off in a smaller house that one income can cover. Because all of that is bad for GDP, bad for economic growth, bad for corporate profits, but it might be really good for your actual life. This is where it gets really interesting, because once you understand the trap, you can start to see ways out of it. Here's the deeper truth that nobody wants to talk about. Financial security isn't about how much you make, it's about how much flexibility you have. Your grandparents understood this instinctively. They didn't optimize for maximum household income. They optimized for resilience. They bought less house than the bank said they could afford so they'd have breathing room. They kept expenses low relative to one income so the second income could be a true reserve. They prioritized time over money in a lot of decisions, and because of that, they had options. Modern families optimize for maximum income and maximum lifestyle. Then they wonder why they feel trapped. Look, I'm not romanticizing the past. The 1950s had massive problems. Limited opportunities for women, racial discrimination, plenty of economic struggles. But there was something about the financial structure that actually worked better, and we can learn from that without going backwards on social progress. The lesson is this: build your life on one income if at all possible, not because the second income doesn't matter, but because the second income should be your flexibility, your opportunity fund, your freedom money. It should go to savings, investments, paying down debt fast, or giving you the option to take career risks. It shouldn't be locked into fixed expenses that you can't escape. When you structure your life so that one income covers your needs, everything changes. Suddenly, you can afford for someone to switch careers. You can afford to take a year off if you want to start a business. You can afford for someone to stay home if a kid needs extra attention. You can weather a job loss without immediately facing foreclosure. You have actual choices. That's what wealth really is. Not how much money you make, but how many choices you have. The two-income trap steals your choices. It gives you more money but fewer options. And over the long term, that makes you poorer even if your bank account says otherwise. Because you're locked in, running on a treadmill that keeps getting faster, making more money but falling further behind. The families that escape this trap are the ones who realize that sometimes less income with more flexibility is actually worth more than high income with no flexibility. That's the mindset shift that changes everything. All right, let me bring this all together. The two-income trap is real. Housing prices, college tuition, and childcare all rose to absorb that second income. So now you need two incomes to buy what one income used to purchase. But you've also added massive new expenses that didn't exist before. The math works against you. You're making more money but saving less. And worst of all, you've lost flexibility. You can't afford for either person to stop working even temporarily. One job loss and the whole structure collapses. Your grandparents on one blue-collar income had more actual economic security than you do on two professional salaries because they had flexibility, they had margin, they had options. So here's what you need to understand. The goal isn't to maximize household income. The goal is to build a life where one income covers your needs and the second income gives you freedom. That might mean buying way less house than the bank says you can afford. It might mean living in a less expensive area. It might mean driving older cars and saying no to lifestyle inflation. But those trade-offs buy you something way more valuable than a bigger house. They buy you choices, the ability to weather emergencies, the freedom to switch careers, the flexibility to actually live your life instead of just surviving it. That's the real wealth. And it's exactly what the two-income trap takes away from you. Look, I know this hits different depending on where you are in life. Maybe you're already in the trap and figuring out how to get some breathing room back. Maybe you're about to make decisions that could lock you in. Either way, understanding this changes everything, because now you can make intentional choices instead of just defaulting into a lifestyle that doesn't actually serve you. If you want more videos breaking down the financial systems that aren't working for you and what to actually do about it, hit that subscribe button. I'm breaking down the traps that keep people stuck so you can build real wealth instead of just looking wealthy. Drop a comment and let me know where you are with this. Are you in the two-income trap? Have you found a way to build flexibility back into your life? I read every single comment. And if this video helped you see money differently, share it with someone who's stuck in the trap and doesn't know it yet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.